Hello, all you cool cats out there. How's tricks? And welcome to the Athenaeum Tabletop campaign. This is session number 9. Everybody, of course, is dressed in their best today, ready for the roaring 20s and 30s. And before we dive back into the realm of Sam's world, which I know is going to be very exhilarating, exciting, and thought-provoking, let's go and do our warm-up question. Think about some moment in your past, preferably that has not been brought up at all in this campaign, that it's just a vivid memory that it doesn't have to be anything super significant, but it's something that possibly... Yeah, I'm just going to keep it simple. Like, just share with us some sort of memory from the past. It could be something as simple as, my dad and I went fishing together, and it was a great bonding moment, and blah, 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 blah. Or it could be something tragic, like I was bullied in high school, and they stuffed me in lockers, and that wasn't great, but it's a vivid memory that I have from my past. So really, anything of that nature. It can be happy, it can be sad. And again, it doesn't have to have made a huge impact in your life overall, but it's just something that might be an interesting memory to share with the group that could give some possible insight or layers to where your character came from. If you want to stall, as a group, decide which character you want me to do this for.
I feel like Sue would be the most appropriate.
Sue could
Personally.
be amazing. I admit, like, there's actually a part of me that's saying Victor.
Oh, Victor's
I would
a
kind
good
of want to
one,
learn
too.
more about Victor's past.
Yeah, that would be a good one too.
We could also do a certain reporter that someone is hurtling down the road with.
You could.
That would be funny.
That would be cool. Like Eddie Sullivan, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
Learn a little bit more about Eddie.
I'm a toss-up between Sue, because that was my first thought.
Mm-hmm.
My other one was Stormy. So,
Ooh.
yes. So that's me.
I vote for Sue.
I'll vote for Sue.
I'm also for Sue.
So Sue, growing up in Japanese culture, she had the parents, some of your typical like Asian parents who expected a lot out of their kids. And so she has a brother, and he was the oldest and was kind of the star child of the family. And so, you know, their parents would always nag him about, you know, when you're getting me grandkids or things like that. But one thing they never had to nag him about was his academics. He did very well in school. He ended up becoming a neurosurgeon. He ended up becoming a doctor, which again is a very stereotypical thing that Asian parents tend to encourage. That was something I certainly was encouraged, because virtually everyone in my family is in the medical field. And Sue, she wanted to be in culinary. She said when they asked her, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? One of the first things she says is she wanted to like open a bake shop or something and bake cakes and cookies. And her mom was like, okay, try again. It was one of those things. So her family was never like super supportive of her culinary. They always were pushing her to do more of like the math and sciences. And she kept trying to explain to them, well, baking and cooking, especially baking, is a lot like science because it's chemistry, basically. And that was just it was still a very hard sell for her parents. So I think growing up as a kid, she loves her parents, but even now that she's going to culinary school, and her parents would only, thinking that they were doing what they were supposed to do as parents to encourage the best out of their kids and set them up for success, they refused to pay for her school unless she went to a more like techie type school. But she ended up going to a culinary school, so she worked her butt off like earning money herself to get into this school. And she thinks her parents are being stubborn, so she's like, I'm going to show them, and I'm going to be the best cook in the world. We'll see how that's going. You can see how that's going now. Maybe that's part of the reason why. Perhaps, like, as she was growing up as a kid, she kept trying to cook for her parents, and it was never good enough. And I think psychologically, that sort of has translated to her actual cooking, is that her parents never really appreciated it, therefore she never really had like the encouragement needed to allow her to keep getting better at her cooking, and that's probably why her cooking sucks to this day. And meanwhile, her parents are like hoping that they're not like hoping she'll fail because they want her to fail. They're hoping that she realizes maybe this isn't the right path for you. You're not that great of a cook, and I want what's best for you. And since maybe you'll wake up one day and hit rock bottom and realize cooking's not your thing, maybe you should try engineering, or you should try something else. So that, I think, is a good layer to Sue's background, which I don't think she would ever necessarily bring up.
All right, I've got one. So I'm going to tell you all about Lonnick's first death. The very first one. He had just come off the assembly line. He had just been coded, didn't yet realize he was a video game character. He advances forward 3 steps, and a cheap sheep drops from the sky and hits him on the head, and everything goes dark. And internally, he's screaming because he thinks all of that time, all of that effort getting to where I was, and this is how it all ends. No fame, no infamy, just nothing. And he's terrified. Then he comes back, and the first thing he wants to do is scream. But he can't, because he's not programmed for that.
So this was a long, long time ago. Back Powder was maybe 16 before he even got his moniker. He wasn't even really a big-time criminal. He was doing petty theft at that point. But he met a lady, a very pretty young woman, about the same age as him, and he fell head over heels for her. And she seemed to like him back, and they spent a lot of time together, even though they technically weren't supposed to, because she was a proper lady. And her father found out, and he was beaten within an inch of his life and told to never show his face again. And that's when he actually went out to sea, because he was essentially kicked out of this town. And after that, he swore never to love someone again, because it only caused pain.
This is when Star was a child and living in the orphanage. When Star was little, Star was a very outgoing child, and as you can see, that stays within his nature. But because of his nature and because he was a pixie, in that world, pixies are not viewed as something good. They're kind of looked at as kind of like a joke to most people, not well respected. And so Star was picked on a lot as a small child and really didn't know or fully understand why people viewed them, or at this time, him, in this way. And that's when he ran into Shepard. And Shepard was kind of more of like his shield, you know? And, you know, Shepard saw Star because how Shepard looked at himself, because he's slightly deformed. One arm is bigger than the other. One horn is slightly bigger than the other. And that's why when he saw Star be picked on, he saw Star crying, and he just kind of felt like, no, this isn't right. Let me help this person. And Star just assumed that Shepard was just going to be another one of his bullies. And Shepard basically just said, it's okay. Like, you know, I'm here to help you. We'll be friends. We'll help each other. So from then on, Star and Shepard just became inseparable, and they just kind of continued to play those roles together, and as they grew up and all that good stuff. So there you go.
Oh, it's a happy memory. Oh,
Finally.
nice. We got a happy one.
So for Sam, I think a very vivid memory is probably when he first started realizing some of the, I guess, double standards with the, I guess, good guys not always being good and the bad guys not always being bad. Think of a case where he had to do some investigation and possibly a gin runner or something along that, where those who were kind of being villainized were just trying to do something to support their family and get some income coming in a very poor, setting. And those who were persecuting them were enjoying the fruits of the poor people's labor, kind of without a care in the world, because they were the ones who were setting the law and really making the rules that others had to live by, but they didn't. So I think that's a very vivid memory.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a glimpse into Tori's childhood, way before she knew Carmen or had Carmen in her life. And this was probably around when she was 6 years old, and she was realizing that her mom and dad were getting a divorce, which as a 6-year-old, you're probably not really old enough to understand the divorce part or why it's happening, just that your family's kind of falling apart. And so she has a memory of that day of leaving and giving her mom a hug goodbye. And her and her dad just up and moved to a small apartment, and she was struggling. There's a lot of struggle just to make friends and adjust and kind of cope with what happened. And so there's just this memory of her father feeling a lot of guilt. And so he bought her a little dollhouse, and that was kind of what introduced her to, her getting interested in making these little dolls, just because she felt like she was alone and she didn't know who she could turn to or talk to. So when she started making her dolls.
So the memory that I can think of it does have quite a bit of backstory. In Frankie's world, a lot of the teenagers, the young adults that have psychic abilities, have them because they manifest due to their bond to somebody else. So Agatha and Felix, they're twins. So it was inherent that they would develop their psychic abilities with each other. But most of the time they develop because usually of romantic bonds. And so that is why a lot of them are coupled up. It's just part of the genre. And when Frankie and Victor bonded, definitely his abilities manifested. And what happened was Henry found out by that alone. So he realized when he saw the two together that Frankie could, manipulate objects telekinetically. And that's what triggered Henry to getting them arrested, essentially. And so Frankie's vivid memory is that day of getting caught and seeing Victor be brutalized. He was just handcuffed and beaten, and he was as well. He was also restrained and felt totally helpless. And I think in that moment, it was probably an instant reaction from Henry of regret, because it was just this it was an act of jealousy, right? And wasn't really thinking about it. And when he saw what was happening, to his love interest, to Victor, it was just utter regret in that moment. But right then and there, all three of them were really kind of helpless at the situation. So I think that's probably Frankie's most vivid moments, is that scene.
I love all these because, again, it gives us a lot more insight and maybe got you thinking about things that you never really thought about with your character. The whole Sue parent dynamic, I didn't think about that at all until I was forced into this exercise. So I'm glad we did this because, like, okay, cool. I might use that for something, like, as I'm role-playing her later on. So let's get back into it again. When we last left off, I believe we were split up as a group. At least half of you were at the pet shop speakeasy, and then the other half were leaving the scene of the crime at the farm. So, Lonick, you're with Eddie, and he's, if I remember correctly, he's supposed to drive you to Sam's office, correct? And then, was there other instructions? He told him specifically not to ask questions?
Yes.
All right.
And so far, we've already gotten plenty of questions.
Right. I think at that point, like, Eddie's going to, he's probably halfway there. And I'm just curious, what exactly is Alanic doing to pass the time as he's riding around in this vehicle, which is very different from the racing vehicles that you're probably used to yourself?
He's wishing that he was running alongside the vehicle. And he's probably, that game you play whenever you're a kid/adult, where you're like imagining yourself parkouring off of various objects outside to keep up with the vehicle. He's doing that in his head. So just imagine like a ghost Lonic, not the teacup, but the actual like mascot character, just like running across telephone lines. And he's just like looking out the window and picturing that in his head.
And picturing, okay. As a reporter, it's really tough for me to not ask any questions at all. It's like asking a baby not to cry.
That's understandable there, young chap friendo.
So what I'm gonna do is, I'm not gonna necessarily ask any questions per se, but I might state some things, and if you happen to want to say true or false to certain things that I say, that's up to you.
Minigame activate?
I beg your pardon?
Never mind. It was meant for somebody else.
So...
Which is true, because video games legitimately do that when they break the fourth wall.
You are from here.
I am.
Statement.
I am from Japan.
I heard that. Yes. I am very curious about that. Very curious about you being from Japan and now being here. Extremely curious, he says very insistently.
At this point, thankfully, this is one of those moments where just like things are approaching the skull and then just bouncing off. He's like, I don't know how to infer.
It gets very awkward in the car right now. And
Lonic's just smiling in the back seat. I imagine he's in the back seat.
So what's basically going to happen is Eddie's going to he's going to turn on like the radio in the vehicle, and he's going to go through some of the channels. There's some music that goes through, and then he eventually gets to a channel on the radio that it's the equivalent. I like to believe that this existed like back then, and even if it didn't, we'll just say that a 1920s version of it did. But I'm thinking sort of like not a Christian rock, but like a religious based kind of show, like radio show,
I get what you're talking about. Like
almost like evangelistic. So he actually switches it to that for a little bit, and I think the topic of conversation right now on the radio is about people who claim to have been like possessed by like the devil and like evil spirits, and some of them actually start talking about how, you know, my husband, he passed away, you know, a year ago, and I can feel his presence like and around the house. I think like he might be like haunting and trying to tell me something from beyond the grave. Eddie, I mean, he keeps a relatively stoic look on his face as the program is talking about these supernatural things. So it's up to you if you want to break the silence at all.
Oh yeah.
Or not.
Well, I can tell you for sure, ghost houses are no laughing matter. Those places are real hard. They'll kick your butt, chew your ass. They'll chew your butt up and spit you back out.
You believe in ghosts? I mean, you believe in ghosts statement. He says,
well,
looking towards you.
Of course I believe in ghosts. Doesn't everybody? It's right there, plain as day. Meanwhile, Tori's sweating in the distance.
He sort of says, well, I don't know. There's plenty of things going on amongst the living, so I don't know if there really is much that I really care to think about the dead.
Well, whether you think about them or not, they're definitely there.
It's sounding like you know this from experience.
Well, the only things that you can know is stuff you know from experience, right? I mean, there's lore and research, but you just stumble upon that on your journey anyway, so why bother with the poring over the books? That's what I always say.
You strike me as a kind of fella who has a lot of experiences, interesting experiences, maybe interesting experiences recently around the city that people would love to read about.
Not so much. Most of my most interesting experiences happened before I got here, but I mean, there was a fire that I was near, but that's kind of boring.
You mean the fire over at the farm?
That's really about all I can think of. That and standing in that chap Sam Bennett's office.
Yeah, you know, I'm still very puzzled about that whole incident with the fire. It just seemed like you all were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how often that happens to me there, Laddo.
Laddo?
Laddie, sorry.
He'll just, brush it off. And
oh no! Accidental character drops.
Does he actually say that out loud?
He did say Laddo, I mean Laddie.
I know, but I'm saying the accidental character drop.
No, that was me. That was
That'd
Adam,
be so great.
Alonic.
I feel like Alonic would be that meta, but that's okay. So eventually, he's going to pull up over to the office of Sam, and he's going to get up. He's going to let you out.
Now, I heard you say something about wanting to try some of my coffee.
I did, he said.
All right.
I'm very curious. I'm thinking that, if I put in a good word or write a review on in the next paper, maybe we could cut a deal of some sort.
All right. So Lonnick's gonna.
If you get your way into the office, you will see the secretary is still at the front desk, Susan Simmons. She's come back from her break, and she'll say, "Edward, it's so good to see you." And he says, "Hi, Susie." He says, "Nice outfit. You're looking pretty good today. What's the occasion?" And And then Susie sort of blushes a little bit, and she says, "Oh, she said this was just a little something that I saw on the window, and I thought it would be a nice, cool, and refreshing outfit on a hot summer's day." And says, "Well, it does look very comfortable." And they're just going to start chatting between the two of them, and they seem to be very well acquainted with each other. Very well acquainted with each other.
Excuse me, princess, but I do have a question for you. Do we have any containers with which one may put coffee in this office?
You mean a mug?
A mug, a cup, a container, a gallon jar.
A gallon jar? Who in their right mind would drink coffee out of a gallon jar?
Probably Sam.
Oh, that's true. The man practically bathes in coffee, she says. No wonder he hasn't really met a woman yet, she says, muttering a little bit. And then she says, I'll go ahead and fetch you one. Mr. I didn't quite catch your name.
The name's Lonic.
Lonic? Is that Norwegian?
Japanese.
And she'll just walk off and to the I'm sure there's like a coffee area that she can just go ahead and grab a mug.
Now I'm just picturing Sam drinking coffee out of a gallon jar.
Joe, why don't you I'm curious. So this coffee area, I'm assuming it's pretty well stocked. Are there tons and tons and tons of mugs, or is Sam the kind of person who has, this is my favorite mug and I only use this mug when I'm at the office?
Sam would definitely have his own mug, but he would also make sure that there was, 4 to 6 mugs for anybody coming in. Because he wouldn't want anybody using his for sure. His is his.
Okay, yes. While Susan Simmons is, fishing for a mug, Eddie, he's just going to... he's gonna start, I wouldn't say pacing around, but he's gonna sort of walk about the room a little nervously. And Lonic, you can probably notice it. You don't have to roll this. You can notice it if you'd like. But he seems to pace around nervously, kind of puts his hand behind his neck a little bit, and then, maybe yanks his tie around his neck a little bit, and then he goes over and said, "So, Susie, yeah, Edward, word on the street says that the city's gonna be having a summer festival coming up soon." "Oh yes, I think I read that article in the paper the other day." It says, "You had any interest in going?" It says, I don't know. Summer festivals, not really sure if that's my kind of thing. It's a lot of crowds. I tend to avoid the crowds. Oh, I understand that. I just thought, you have such a pretty dress. It would be such a shame to not put it to good use. I mean, I'm sure it's wonderful here at the office, but I feel like something as pretty as that, should be... I just think a festival would be a fitting place for it, he says. And she'll say, all right, well, maybe I'll talk to Sam and see if he would be interested in going. "Oh, Sam, sure. Yeah, great idea." And by this point, she goes over and hands the mug over to, she says, "Here you go, Mr. Lonic, sir. Do you take cream or sugar with your coffee?"
Well, it's not for me, it's for Eddie over there, but...
"Oh," she says, "well, in that case, I'll go ahead and get some extra sugar." So she goes over and gets the sugar.
So Lonic...
She knows me too well.
Is there a kitchen area?
Yes, Joe? Yes, there is? Okay.
Yeah, I would say a little bit of a kitchen area.
Small, yeah. Sort of like a your standard office size kind of kitchen ish.
Like an apartment kitchen, basically.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Lonnick's gonna go back in there and open up the menu and select the coffee cup, then approach the sink, press the action button so that he can begin washing the coffee cup to make sure it's clean.
Okay.
Then he'll take a step back, open menu, special. Goop.
Okay.
Then he'll approach Eddie and give him the coffee cup. Actually,
Yeah.
he's gonna heat that up real quick.
Sure. Okay.
But going through all that might be a bit much. More than much. We've already
Okay.
reached much.
Okay. So, but eventually you'll give him the coffee, right?
Yeah, eventually he'll bring him out the warm coffee, and it is it's impossible to describe. You ever see that color of black that looks 2D whenever you paint a 3D object with it because it absorbs almost all light?
Okay.
Basically, that's how dark this coffee is.
Wow. That's really dark. Susie, you got some cream? And she says, right over here, Edward, and she puts it down along with, and she actually says, here, I got that. And she puts in 3 lumps of sugar. Thanks. And he's gonna take the cream and he's gonna pour it in. I'm just curious what happens when he puts the cream into the coffee. Does anything happen?
I'll say it's like water hitting oil, where it just kind of sinks right to the bottom and disappears.
That's strange. Is this, where's this coffee from?
Japan, of
Wow.
course.
What kind of beans is this?
Lonnick beans.
Lonic beans. Like your name?
I make them myself.
Really now? He kind of shrugs and he puts it up. Does it smell like... It smells like coffee, right?
It smells. It probably the odor has probably permeated the street outside of the office.
Wow, that's strong. Okay, so he's gonna go ahead and take a sip. What happened?
Okay. One moment. I don't want to get this wrong. So, Eddie gets the benefit of what myself and Alex determined is called coffee head brain juice, which is from his speed. His basic movement speed increases by a factor of times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2.
Wow, okay.
So basically, he can now run faster than most cars.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Let me cut to somebody else, and we'll get back to this. Okay. Let's cut to somebody else. Let's go back to the speakeasy, shall we? So we're kind of splitting the speakeasy because I think Star was talking to Stanley, and Tori was in Joey Rotello's office or room, and I don't remember where Black Powder was.
Black Powder had also been talking to
Also been talking to Stanley.
Stanley, yeah, and had
Right.
set up the meeting kind of thing. I think we were actually
Yeah.
about to leave because we were going to meet back up in the office.
Okay.
I was gonna spook Rattlesnake.
Yeah, I think Tori
first.
wanted to do
Yeah.
something first before you leave. So go ahead. We'll go to Tori first. So
Yeah,
Tori,
and-
you're still at Joey's. He seems spooked, but not like he thinks something's up. And I think he pulled a gun out at some point, and he was like,
Yes.
he pulled out a gun, and now he's just kind of searching around, trying to see if anybody is hiding in his room. So that's pretty much what he's doing, and he's just like, all right, I heard that. Come on out. And then he opens a closet, and then he has the gun there. It's like going through all of the things in the closets, and he can't find anyone yet.
In this world of black and white, I've become a creature of the night, helping friends and solving crimes, while speaking monologues that rhyme. My new dead life as a ghostly girl brought powers not seen in this world. And now, my friends, the time draws near to show Rattlesnake the meaning of fear.
Nice.
A monologue.
Love it.
So I think since he is spooked but not leaving the room, I'm gonna up the ante a little bit. And I bought this ability, so now Tori can possess objects.
Nice. Love it.
So I'll probably try to possess like the desk, and with that I'd probably open and close the drawers and speak in the creepiest voice I can, say, give me your soul, just to really freak him out.
Okay. Roll me, do you have Intimidate as a skill? Okay. Roll me an Intimidate, and you get advantage and a +2 bonus. Advantage with a +2 bonus.
What skill is that, like IQ?
I think IQ. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go with IQ.
Better of 2 rolls, yes. Because you've already got him shooken up. So that's part of the reason why I'm giving you the advantage.
Okay, 11's the better one, and it's a +2, so that would make it a 9.
They both are successful. So at this point, Joey, like before he was kind of like, I'm gonna find this person, I'm gonna find you, I'm gonna hunt you down. But as soon as you start like shaking things up and you speak in that voice about his soul, his demeanor completely changes. He turns around towards the direction of the voice, and his hand with the gun is like shaking. And then immediately with his other hand, he kind of does like the sign of the cross. and then he rushes over. You said it was the desk that you were shaking. He pushes back against the wall, and then he just kind of inching his way towards the door. He eventually like fiddles with the doorknob, opens the door, and you see the 2 bodyguards like right there. And one of them asks, "Sir, are you all right?" And he basically tells him, "Nobody steps into this room. And if you see anybody come out, you let me know immediately." Of course, sir. Yes, of course. So he immediately shuts the door behind him. So the room is now empty. He's left. Meanwhile, back with Star and Black Powder, you're just finishing up your conversation with Stanley when this other dude comes over, and the way that he's dressed, he seems like he's the man in charge. And he goes over to Stanley, and he just starts, tapping on Stanley. He says, "Stanley! Stanley!" And Stanley says, "Joe, oh, well, speak of the devil. He says, "Don't say that name." He says, "What?" He says, he says, "Just come over here," he says. And he says, all right. He's straightening up his jacket. He says, "If you excuse me, gentlemen," he says, and he stands up, and he walks over to Joey, and they're just gonna go off into the corner and like talk privately with each other, out of earshot, basically. So meanwhile, what's happening with any of you 3, I guess, at this point, when all of this is going on?
After that, Black Powder's literally just gonna look at Star and raise an eyebrow. Like, is this the guy we're investigating? Not saying it, but...
Star is gonna nod and he's gonna look at where Tori, like he's assuming because Tori must be in the office because he never saw where she went, but he's assuming something went down in that room. So he's like doing like an eye gesture, like the room, like, and then like shrugging, like maybe it's the room, like maybe Tori, without verbally saying anything. Star's gonna be like, we need to make a distraction, but he's not saying it. So Star is gonna look back towards the stage and say, like, you know, Star is gonna like, oh wait, do I have a stealth? Can I do like a stealth roll or something, like to signal to Black Powder? Okay.
Yeah,
oh my lord, Star cannot do stealth, but we gonna wing it today, kids.
Black Powder roll a perception scene.
Oh, my highest stat. Okay.
It is.
No, it's not.
We'll see what happens. Okay, so here's the problem. You are extra stealthy, and Black Powder was extra blind. So
Trying to sneak around a guy with one eye is pretty easy to do.
Right. Had you failed miserably, then Black Powder could have seen it, but then everybody else would have seen it as well.
Okay.
So you signal it, and it doesn't seem like you got Black Powder's attention at all. Black Powder doesn't seem to notice at all.
So Star's like, oh my god, like kind of low key, like we need to get into that room, and we need to like somehow create a distraction. So what Star's gonna do, Star's gonna ease himself over next to Black Powder since he was super stealthy, and say, we need to find out what Tori did in that room, and we need a distraction. So
I can't believe I'm the one saying this. I think we should just trust Tori. What can they do to her? She's already dead.
Good point.
Let's trust her to come out when she's good to go and she can talk with us. I trust her. She's a smart kid.
Okay. So Star's gonna sit there but Star's gonna look pensive while sitting there because he's like, even though he agrees with you, but Star's like looking pensive and like, okay, well, all right, I guess we'll play some more crap. And that's all Star is doing right now.
I'll be keeping an eye towards the door, so if I see a glimpse of Tori, we know to leave, basically.
Cool.
Yeah. During this time, I know I didn't get a good look in the room last time, so I'm taking this time with Rattlesnake out of the room to kind of search for any clues, evidence, information that might give us, I don't know, something.
Go ahead and roll a search then.
Well, unfortunately, I'm just not. Yeah, 14 out of 12.
Okay, so unfortunately on your own, you're probably not gonna, nothing's particularly gonna catch your eye on your own. Yeah.
Okay. Well, just to see if this works, I guess I'll take anything, like something on the desk, just to see if I can, like, because I know I can manipulate objects, but I don't know if I can, like, take it and leave the room with it. So I don't know. He has like a bunch of cash on the table, so I'll probably take it.
Oh, you're gonna get the cash? Yeah, roll me a magic roll, please.
A magic roll, okay.
So yeah, you'll be able to 13 out of 12 out of 15, excuse me. So we'll say I'll multiply your 15 by 10. You can get away with $150 in cash, which back then is a lot of money. $150 was a lot of money. Up to, you don't have to do all, but just know that the more cash you bring, it's not like you can you don't have any pockets, so you can't like stash it into a purse. So it's basically floating money. So you can carry floating money out this door, but then you'd have to stealth said floating money so that nobody sees that there's floating money. So but the stealth roll will be easier the less money you're carrying. So you tell me because they're not like, a lot of them are like 1s and 5s and like it's a stack. So if you tell me what you want to do at this point, knowing that you can carry up to $150 out this door. Here's the other thing is, like, yes, you physically can walk through walls. The money can't go through walls.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
The door would have to open in order for the cash to get out, unless you want to start slipping things underneath.
I was gonna say, could you just like one by one, just like pass them under the door?
Could, but
I could. It was mainly taking the cash to test this out. So Tori to test it out because she's trying to figure out her ghostly powers. So I think she'll try with just like a single dollar and try
to slip it underneath.
Well, not slip it underneath, but she doesn't know if it can go through walls or not like her. So she's just gonna try it.
So you're just gonna go through the wall, and as you're going through the wall, you're just gonna notice that the bill doesn't pass through. Okay. So it'll probably just hit the door and then just float to the ground.
Okay. And I remember there's being something about the horse races in the room. I think that's the only other thing
There's a bunch of documents.
I think that's what I would check. I would try to check for that just because I keep failing my searches.
Yeah. I mean, you physically can see the documents. You just, with that IQ roll, you're not going to you personally will not notice anything significant about them.
Okay. So then,
because it's written in cursive.
So I guess with that, I will try to stealthily make my exit.
Okay, with no money or anything else? Okay.
Yeah, because...
Okay, then in that case, because you're not gonna be bringing anything with you, go ahead and roll a stealth roll with no penalties at all.
All right. 12 out of 11.
So you're going to try to make your way through, and I'm gonna say that a few people by the door are gonna do like a little bit of a double take, but you'll probably like slip behind the bar before they can like get a really good eye at you. But yeah, certainly some people noticed enough. You failed by only one, so I'll say they noticed, but they're like, what was that? But they won't necessarily do anything.
They're just drawn to their seeing things.
Right.
So I guess I don't know if Blackwater or Star noticed her leave the room at that point.
Why don't the two of you roll a perception real quick? If you succeed, you will see her.
Okay.
Perception seeing.
Hey,
okay. You both will see Tori sneak out, but you'll also see a few people might have noticed something happening.
Okay.
But I'd say it's about time for us to maybe leave this place for now. Since you have some work lined up now, and I have a future meeting potentially.
Cool beans. Let's get our girl and let's skedaddle.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Meanwhile, let's go with Frankie and Sam. What's happening with Frankie and Sam at this point? And Sue.
I want to try to steer Frankie and Sue back to the car and get back on the road heading back to the office. So I want to take the knight that started going off a little bit at the end there and pull it out of my pocket and hand it to Frankie. Just say, this got very active there at the end. We definitely need to have Tori get the other knight that they took into evidence and pop the eyes on it.
It makes sense to see what it has to say. Could have seen something, heard something.
Yeah, I think this one was super helpful in, really calling out a few key details. So getting some input from the other one now would be really good. So tonight we have to see if Tori's able to get into some evidence and bring us that knight.
So you want her to break into the police department?
Yeah, I think it could be pretty easy for her and leave them none the wiser.
I mean, we've snuck into stuff before, plenty time, and now Tori can just walk through walls.
We have, But I don't know, maybe I'm a little naive, but normally when we sneak into places, it's normally because we're sneaking into like the bad guys' places. But these are the cops.
Well, this horse had some good information on it regarding that, so I think the other one's just as important. So I think good, bad, indifferent. It's more about the end result.
I agree, because if the new piece can give us vital information, it can solve the problem, it can solve the crimes, and catch the killer, and thereby helping the good guys. At least that's my thinking.
Sue just kind of tilts her head and says, I suppose I'm just gonna follow your lead because you know this place better than I do, Sam.
Yeah, well, we'll get back to the office, see if we can't get everybody rounded up, and we'll get a little bit of idea on how to best get Tori to the police station and let her get in and out and take the next steps from there.
Sounds fair to me. Yeah, let's regroup.
Yeah, we'll just head right back to the office.
So, Sam, do you want to like maybe find a way to identify them, make sure that we don't mix them up, or just one the left pocket, one the right pocket?
Well, I think, we keep them a little bit separate, so that way we don't confuse the two of them, and I think we'll be okay.
Okay, I follow your lead too.
You're gonna get to the office, and by the time you pull up, you're gonna see Susan Simmons running up to you towards the car. Sir, oh, thank the Lord you're here. I think we need to call 911. Something's wrong with Eddie. Something's wrong with Edward.
Calm down. Let's see what's going on first.
Okay, well, before you go in there, I just have to warn you that the office is a little bit it's a little bit of a mess right now, sir, she says.
Oh, great. All right, I'm gonna go right in because I'm a little nervous. That's my office.
All right, you're gonna go in, and first of all, I will describe how the office looks like. It looks like a tornado hit it. There's papers everywhere, things flown and strewn around. There's unfortunately a few like cracked or shattered mugs on the ground, like spilled over coffee. The entire office smells of dark coffee. And you basically see up on the ceiling right now Eddie Haskell. He's sort of like running around in circles, like running around in circles on the walls, and he just round and around and around and around very fast. And Susan, she like peers over from behind the door, and she says, "Sir, I think Edward's possessed. I'm not sure whether to call 911 or to call the pastor over at my church."
Meanwhile, Lonix sitting over in the corner like nothing is awry, nothing is unusual.
Yeah.
Susie, why don't you go get a sandwich and we'll take care of this. I would say it may be something that Eddie got out at the farm, so don't panic, but keep it quiet until we know exactly what it is.
The farm? Is it rabies or something?
Well, it looks bad.
Oh no, poor Edward. She says, it sounded like he was so good looking forward to going to the summer festival.
Well, just, why don't you skedaddle a bit, we'll take care of this, and, maybe give us an hour.
Okay, sir. Well, if there's anything that I can do from my end, you just let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know right away.
Then she will go and leave. What do you do?
I'm going to turn to Frankie and just say, Frankie, we need him contained for a little bit.
Okay. Frankie starts to look around. Is there any like rope? You got handcuffs? You got anything that could?
I definitely have handcuffs. And in a closet, there are a couple of suits with just ties and, probably there's cord for like the coffee pot. So all different kinds of options depending on what you want to use.
Okay. Frankie will grab what he can with the ties and the cords and just like wrap
Can you
Eddie
catch him?
around. Well, yeah, so I'll try to catch him first, but the plan would be to catch him, put him on the chair, and then wrap him up.
Okay. Sure. If you're just physically going to try to catch him, I think that would be a dex with a -6 penalty. 'Cause he's fast. Very fast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oof. Not quite. So you're going to attempt to like grab him and time it so that you can like grab him just as he's passing by, but he's just a blur. He's Tasmanian deviling it up around this room.
Meanwhile, still standing in the corner, like nothing is awry.
I want to call out to Alonic and just say, can you tell me what happened and can you make it stop?
Well, it'll stop before too long. The power-up's not supposed to last all day. It only lasts for a few seconds.
I'm gonna
Just
call
wait
out
for it to wear out.
Yeah, I'm going to call out to Eddie and ask him to hold on a minute so we can talk.
Okay, so you're gonna hold on a minute. Okay, you're gonna hold on. You're gonna tell him that. Then he's going to stop running around in circles, and then immediately, like rushes up right in front of you. He says, "Sammy boy, how are you? How's it going? Hey, where'd you been? What you doing? What's up? Oh, did you find out what's going on with the fire? Do you have any evidence? Do you have any, like he just like he's just talking like for those of you who are old enough to know what I'm referring to, like the Micro Machines guy. He's a very famous person who can talk really fast. So he's just asking you all these questions like a mile a minute, and he's very, very full of energy.
I'm going to say, we're still doing a lot of investigating, and I've got definitely a couple of leads that I'd like you to check out, but I need you to wait until about half an hour to get everything in line.
Wait, who can wait? News is fast news. I gotta make sure I catch him before he runs away. Hey, by the way, people are running away. Where's Susie? And he's just gonna look around looking for her. Where did she go? She was just right there. I was about to tell her something really important, but I didn't have the guts to ask her. But then she talked about something that I didn't even really fathom about, and then she just kind of keeps on going about Susie and Susie this and Susie that.
Yeah, kid. Yeah. Just settle down. Let's. Why don't we sit down for a minute? Why don't we sit down and?
Yeah, we'll sit. We'll. And then crash. He just drops to the floor, and he's with a thud face down, and he is out.
Well, you know what they say. When you gotta go fast so you don't finish last. Coffee.
Lonic, was that your coffee?
Of course.
How much did he have?
Just a sip. Well, a cup. Well, a cup and a half. And then that cup broke.
Well, I'm actually kind of glad that he had some first because I was tempted until, yeah.
It has quite a kick. It's very useful, but you got to be able to hold it, apparently.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a time and place for it. Did he say anything on the way over here?
He asked plenty of statements.
It sounds like him.
Sorry.
Well, I think it's definitely good that he's out now. Let's get him comfortable on the sofa and try to pass it off as an overactive imagination, maybe.
We have to make sure he doesn't. He had a weird dream or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I'll just try to start putting the office back together as best as I can and wait on everybody else.
You'll attempt to put things back in order at the office, and when you're in the middle of that, that's when the other group, the rest of the group, will finally arrive, and you'll notice that the office is still in quite a bit of a disarray, as if, again, a tornado had gone through it.
At least we know it's not permanent.
What happened here?
When you gotta go fast so you don't finish last. Coffee, 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 coffee.
Our new friend Lanik seems to have a really interesting recipe for coffee.
So, who drank it?
That would be Eddie. He's just a kid, and we were trying to use, a little bit of divide and conquer. Speaking of which, how did everything go at the shop?
Pretty good, actually.
Tori did a thing.
I gave
scared someone.
Rattlesnake
Star
the
got a
spook of
job.
his. Yeah, I
And
gave
I got a
Rattlesnake.
meeting.
I gave Rattlesnake the spook of his life, and I just laugh.
Yeah, any good info that you found out?
Nope. But so what I did see in there was a fat stack of cash on his desk, and there were some posters about the horse races. That's all I got.
Oh, you can give the horses Lonix coffee and then can win the race.
I've never tried giving my coffee to an NPC creature before. I assume it's possible.
What is NPC?
Non-player character.
Okay.
And what the heck does that mean?
It's a background character with no agency.
What?
I'm so confused.
Oh, like in the video game, like stories.
Of course.
Okay. So,
We learned a little bit. I know the rattlesnake and his buddy, Stanley, apparently they were part of a chess club.
If we gave Lonix coffee to a horse, which is already fast, good lord.
Break the sound barrier.
Oh,
Yes.
definitely. No question.
I mean, we could try,
right?
And then we can bet on that horse.
right? It's like-
Oh my
Another
goodness.
rich fast.
I mean,
man.
I witnessed Eddie going, and I could not catch him.
Oh wow.
He was that fast. I could not catch him.
Okay.
Yeah. Give
Well,
it to the
I
horse.
think I don't like that stuff, whatever it is.
Well, luckily it's not permanent. It only lasts, just maybe long enough for the race.
That's good.
Or for the first lap, then the horse drops.
Now, generally, introducing foreign substances into your body usually isn't good unless it's booze and tobacco.
Well, we came upon quite a crime scene with another body, and
I went inside a barn.
yeah, there was another chess piece, and it's going to be in the evidence at the police department. And I think it'd be great for Tori to get that chess piece.
I don't think I'll be able to take it out of the police department. I tried to steal some of Rattlesnake's cash, but it does not go ghost-like with me. So if I were to do this, I'd have to talk to the chess piece in the police department.
Or maybe throw it out the window.
Or that.
Tori, you tried to steal money.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
Deal? Do you mean
And
Collect.
she'll like give Black Powder a little fist bump.
Go right through him.
Yep. Oh yeah, I forgot.
Well, yeah, I think if you can take the eyes in and put them on the chess piece, that's good. But if you can get the chess piece out, that's even better.
Okay. So, I'll look for a window or something to open to try to get it out.
Perfect. I think that chess piece will have a lot of good information for us to really get some more information.
Mm.